Location: Sarajevo, year 1914. Persons: Archduke Franz Ferdinand and assassin Gavrilo Princip. History is full of strange accidents, but few accidents ever changed the world like a sandwich did. Imagine this: a hungry young man in Sarajevo, frustrated, defeated, and craving a bite to eat, unknowingly steps into the pages of history. His name? Gavrilo Princip. His target? Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. And his timing could not have been more absurd. This is the bizarre chain of events that would spark the deadliest conflict the world had ever seen: the First World War. The story begins in June 1914. Europe was a powder keg of rivalries. Empires jostled for power, alliances formed like spiderwebs, and beneath it all, nationalist movements simmered with rage. In Bosnia, newly annexed by Austria-Hungary, resentment brewed. Secret societies like the Black Hand plotted to strike back. Their goal: independence from the empire. Their weapon: assassination. The Archduke and his wife Sophie traveled to Sarajevo that summer, unaware of the storm awaiting them. For the conspirators, this was the chance of a lifetime. A royal target, exposed and symbolic. Killing Franz Ferdinand would send a message. But assassinations, as history often shows, rarely go according to plan. The Archduke's motorcade rolled through Sarajevo on the morning of June 28th. Crowds lined the streets, curious and tense. Along the route, a group of young conspirators waited. One of them threw a grenade. It bounced off the car and exploded under the next vehicle, injuring officers and civilians, but missing the Archduke entirely. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed the royal couple away, and the would-be assassins panicked. For Gavrilo Princip, the mission seemed doomed. His comrades scattered, some arrested. Franz Ferdinand was shaken, but alive. Now, imagine Princip in that moment. Just 19 years old, burning with nationalist fury, but also terrified, hopeless. He wandered the streets, his stomach empty, his mind racing. The grand plan had failed. The empire would tighten its grip even harder now. For a while, the dream of striking a fatal blow against Austria looked like nothing more than a childish fantasy. So Princip did what any defeated, exhausted young man might do. He went to get a sandwich. Yes, in the middle of what was supposed to be a day of revolution, he ducked into a deli on Franz Joseph Street, sulking over the failure. And then fate, or absurd coincidence, stepped in. Unaware of Princip's location, the Archduke insisted on visiting the wounded victims of the earlier attack in the hospital. His advisors argued against it, fearing more danger, but Franz Ferdinand was stubborn. They altered the route, hoping to avoid crowds and further risks. But in the confusion, the drivers took a wrong turn. Picture the scene. The motorcade slowing down, reversing awkwardly in the narrow Sarajevo street. And at that exact spot, just a few steps away, stood Gavrilo Princip, sandwich in hand, eyes widening at the impossible sight. The heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, his target, was right there, practically delivered to him by chance. Princip seized the moment. He dropped his food, pulled his pistol, and fired. 2 shots. One struck Sophie, the Duchess. The other hit Franz Ferdinand in the neck. Within minutes, both were dead. The city fell silent, then erupted. Princip was seized and beaten before the police dragged him away. And the sandwich? Forgotten on the ground, lost to history, yet immortalized in legend. What followed is the grim punchline to this absurd beginning. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand lit the fuse on Europe's powder keg. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia, where the Black Hand had ties. Ultimatums were issued. Alliances activated. Within weeks, Europe collapsed into total war. Germany declared war on Russia. France and Britain mobilized. Millions of men were sent to trenches. The world would never be the same. And all of it? Millions of lives lost, empires shattered, borders redrawn, traces back to that chance encounter between a hungry young radical and a royal motorcade. Was it fate? Destiny? Or just a cruel joke of history? Imagine telling a soldier in the mud of the Somme or a nurse in the shattered streets of Ypres that their suffering began with a sandwich. That's the strange power of history. Sometimes it isn't the grand strategies or mighty armies that change the world. Sometimes it's the smallest, strangest details. A sandwich, a wrong turn, a single moment colliding with destiny. And from that, the world was thrown into the Great War.